There's no such thing as a small disaster. So when you call 1-800 Water Damage of North Dakota, we come prepared to restore your life back to normal. From burst pipes to unexpected mold discoveries or fire damage, when things couldn't be worse, we come to you with our best. With empathy, local expertise, and a truck full of seriously powerful equipment. 1-800 Water Damage of North Dakota. Restoring what matters most. 701-670-2022.
Hello and welcome to this Valley News Now weather update brought to you by 1-800 Water Damage of North Dakota. I'm meteorologist Lisa Green here, and we are going to be talking about some fog that continues this morning. A little bit ago, a couple of hours ago, we talked about fog. We'll continue to track that for you. And then, just the general warming trend that we've been enjoying too before things change heading into next week. So a lot to go over, and we're going to get right to it here. So let's talk about what we're first alerting you to here. So through the weekend, first alerting you to some very mild, quiet weather. So quiet, in fact, that there are going to be more mornings likely that we have some fog. And then on top of that, of course, with that fog, some snowpack melting going on too. So more of that going away. If that makes you happy, you're going to enjoy all this weather through the weekend. If that makes you sad because you want to keep around the snow because you love it, or maybe you like to do snow sports, that kind of thing, we have opportunities at picking more back up next week. It's going to get into a more active pattern. We're watching several systems. The first one is going to bring a chance for rain and wind initially, and then some snow. Right now it looks like starting Tuesday night into Wednesday. It could linger into Thursday too, but that's just one system. Models continue to show more active weather continuing after that. So we're going to talk a little more about that coming up here in just a minute. But let's get into what's going on right now. It's been foggy. This is our view at the Newman Outdoor Field Sky Cam in North Fargo, and we can now see NDSU's campus. Before, we could only see the lights at the field, and that was about it. So seeing some improvement there. Still can't see downtown. Visibility still limited in that area. And again, it's variable even within the metro. We've been seeing different experiences. So you can see on our tri-level bridge view, this is in South Fargo along I-94 and I-29, the interchange there. A dirty DOT cam there. Right now you can see a lot of road spray has kicked on some dirt onto the camera, but we can still make out that the sky is clear. We've got some sunshine. So even in the metro, it depends on where you are. There is some variation happening here. So keep that in mind too. If you are leaving the house, things look free and clear. For a road trip you're taking, you may run into some of this fog until it clears up. And it's taken its time in some areas. You can see some of our reports here for visibility. We're still down to a quarter mile in Fargo. I am seeing improvement in other places. Let's zoom in on some of these reports. Langdon was at about a quarter of a mile for hours this morning. It has improved greatly. Cavaliers at 1.25 miles visibility. Grafton is at 2.5, and again, Langdon's now at 4, so some real improvement there. Grand Forks has seen improvement too at 3 miles. Cooperstown still struggling a bit. That was one that dropped down to 0 for a minute. Now we're at a 1/4 mile visibility there. Fargo, again, at the airport, we're at a 1/4 mile, but in Moorhead, we're looking at visibility that is at 2 miles, so some improvement that's happened on the east side of the metro. And again, we've seen that on our sky cams ourselves. And then Valley City's at 1.25 miles. Then looking at the east, Wadena was down to some very low visibility, 1/4 mile or less for a while. Now it's at 2.5 miles. So again, seeing those signs of improvement, which is great. I'm going to take a look at some of our cameras on our website. I'm on our weather page, valleynewslive.com/weather, taking a look at some of our sky cams. Red River Valley Fairgrounds in West Fargo. This was all gray before. And this during the 8 o'clock hour, a couple of hours ago, we couldn't see anything. So now we can see that interchange between Main and I-94. So that's great. And let's see here, Dakota Magic Casino. This is an area that's been more on that sunny side with some blue skies down around the Hankinson area, the state line with South Dakota. This camera's been taking a while to load. Hopefully we can get that to load here pretty soon. And so this is one that's been looking much better than others. While we let that load, I'll again just kind of take a more overview of our visibility reports. You can see that we're, seeing some areas that are at 10 miles visibility. So some places that, you're probably saying, what fog? It's been fine all morning because you haven't been impacted. But again, there have been spots that have been. So now we've got that camera up. You can see that it's nice and bright and blue there with the water tower there in Hankinson, near Hankinson. And one other view is Grand Forks. And a little more overcast in this area, but visibility has improved. We have had some frost deposit on the trees you see in the distance there. This is at UND, the Department of Atmospheric Sciences there. And so yeah, it might be a little frosty in some spots to start off or I guess wind down your morning and start off your afternoon in some of these locations. So those are sky cams. Let's go back. I'll show you our DOT road conditions, check in and see if the areas where we had some frost have improved, and it does look like it. Earlier this morning, even just a couple of hours ago, right around the Langdon area, I'll zoom in a little more, it was right in this area that I'm circling. This was light blue, and that indicates some scattered frost on the roadways, and now it's green. So nice to see that improvement. Everywhere else is reporting green. Doesn't mean we're ice-free, but that is looking better. It's the best we can get for this season here. And then there are some areas in Minnesota we've been watching too. In fact, I've got ice on the roadway along Highway 32 here. Let's see if we've got some cameras to show you. This is from a plow along that road. Let's see where that plow is. Okay, so it's moving through the St. Hilaire area. So that's the town it's moving through right there. It looks okay. Obviously, there's going to be some snow on the road in spots. Okay, I do see a little bit of ice here on this side of the road from this view. Again, in town, you might have more ice just because of the stop and go of traffic in town, people slowing down and accelerating again. As snow is falling, that causes some melting and then refreeze happening, and that allows for that snow to compact and eventually become ice. So again, that's an area where, you might be seeing some ice between Thief River Falls and Highway 2, the DeLorme area there. But otherwise, we're looking pretty good. We've got one report. This looks like fog in Verndale likely. That's yes. We do have report visibility at about a third of a mile, we'll call it. And there's our view. So yeah, a little bit foggy still in Verndale along Highway 10. We'll zoom in a little more, show you it's between or just between Verndale and Wadena where that camera happens to be. Okay, let's get back to our weather graphics now. So we're going to take a look at our current weather, and then we'll get into the forecast. Wind is light. That's helped to contribute to that fog development. Clear skies in a lot of spots. You can see some areas where we've got some fog showing up on the satellite map here, and some clearing in other places. Our fog planner, I've been focusing on Wadena. And you can see that here. That's one of the communities that basically all morning long, when I was on the valley today, earlier this morning, we were having trouble during that time in Wadena. Visibility has improved there, 2.5 miles. And in general, we're going to update this here at the top of the hour. We'll see those visibilities likely come up and then eventually get to that 10-mile range, which is the maximum. And so looking at fog safety, and this is a good thing to remember, not just for today, even as conditions improve, but we've got a couple of mornings ahead of us probably where we're going to have some areas of fog. So it's good to be reminded about fog safety. Of course, with any weather going on while you're traveling, it's the same rule, which is, slowing down, giving yourself plenty of time to get to where you need to be, extra stopping distance, especially because that fog can lead to frost on the roads. Using your low beams, but making sure your headlights and your taillights are on even during the daytime when we have fog so people can see you. And, always want to look out for pedestrians and cars, but other cars on the road, but especially when visibility is low, do that extra look. Take that extra look before pulling into traffic and pulling into an intersection. So yeah, just some reminders here as we're dealing with more fog. Okay, so looking at temperatures, we've been warming up. We were down to below zero in Vedette this morning. There's been a colder pocket here. The warmer air mass, there's kind of a stationary boundary and a steeper temperature gradient, which just means a steep drop off in temperatures in the valley. And you can see that here. We're at 10 degrees in Vedette, and then we're 10 degrees warmer, 11 degrees warmer in Fargo at 21, and now we're at 30 when we travel southwest toward Oaks and Jamestown. Harvey's already above freezing at 37, Aberdeen, Sisseton's at 38, and we do have some 30s here into Fergus Falls and Elbow Lake, so that's where that warmest air mass happens to be, and then on the colder side of things in the northeast. Still, these numbers are more typical of February. So they're colder in relation to the rest of the valley, but this is what we expect in February. And wind chill, not really a factor there because we don't have any wind going on. If you do have some wind, it is bringing our wind chills down a little more, single digits to some teens in some spots. And so let's look at the forecast for today. Today is a holiday I hold near and dear to my heart. It's International Day of Women and Girls in Science. And so I want to encourage girls to get more interested in the sciences and stay interested in the sciences. It's such a great field, and you can find something for you in it, whether it's like me, meteorology, or an earth and physical sciences. There's biology, all sorts of sciences that you can get involved in and get excited about. So anyway, we'll get off of that tangent and talk more about the forecast again. But we are looking at temperatures that are going to be into that rising range. We'll get into 34 degrees for your high in Fargo. This afternoon, we'll see some partly cloudy skies. The fog will gradually lift. You know, there might be some places where it stays a little more gray, but conditions improve as far as visibility today, and more places we'll see some sunshine. Here's a look at our hour-by-hour planner. You can see that here on our map. Some areas where we're just a little more on the gray side, and then other spots getting a good amount of sun. This is 3 p.m. Temperatures at that point, some 20s in the northeast. Again, we have that temperature gradient. So as we head to the southwest, we're into the 40s, so about a 20-degree difference. Fargo high of 34 again, Grand Forks right around 30, and just, you know, in general, either right around average for highs or well above that here today. And this is going to kind of be the way the setup is for the next couple of days in general. So our warmest temperatures will remain probably in the James River Valley area through the course of the next couple of days, but that doesn't mean we won't see more warm air pushing into more places in the valley. So moving into tonight, see what happened there? We got more gray on the map. That's that fog potential redeveloping once the sun sets and our temperatures start to cool. So again, tonight into tomorrow, more areas of fog possible heading into your Thursday. And if you remember, we've been talking a little bit about a system that was looking at perhaps impacting the very southern end of the valley on Thursday. And then as we've gone through the days, the chances of that happening have been less and less and less because that system has been showing up in our models tracking even farther south. So we're not looking at seeing really much of anything on Thursday here except for some fog out there and warming temperatures too. So I just wanted to show you that here on our map. So this is starting off Thursday morning. Pretty quiet. You know, you can see that there might be a few flurries, but the system itself steers clear of us. And look how mild we get. We're going to be seeing temperatures at least into the 30s for a lot of spots into Thursday afternoon, and then more areas getting in on those 40s in southeastern North Dakota. But yes, some of us might be stuck with some clouds or maybe even some fog into the afternoon hours tomorrow with the warming we've got happening. And so then heading into tonight and into your Friday, keeping things, or rather Thursday night and into your Friday, keeping things mild. I've got that hard on Thursday, not because it's Valentine's Day, that's coming up on Saturday, but it's Giving Hearts Day tomorrow. So if you're heading out to any Giving Hearts Day events, fundraisers, that kind of thing, we're looking at some pretty decent weather. Temperatures that are going to be 30s to those 40s, again, warmest over by Jamestown, James River Valley. And, you know, some places that are going to be a little more cloudy than others. But overall, it's looking not too bad for your Thursday. Heading in Friday, more places getting into that 40 range. Fargo, Devil's Lake, we could see some upper 40s over toward Jamestown. And more partly cloudy skies going on heading into Friday. So rounding out the week on a warm note. Again, I can't rule out some fog to start off Friday morning as well. Now, big weekend ahead. It's Valentine's Day weekend. So let's take a look at your Valentine's weekend forecast. We'll start off with Friday again. A lot of folks have plans for Friday too, and you know, it's looking pretty good. Mostly sunny to partly cloudy. I shouldn't say pretty good, really good if you are going to be out and about. I know that there's that oh gosh, I probably don't have the name right of it, the hot cocoa crawl in downtown Fargo. Perfect weather for that on Saturday. We're looking at, you know, temperatures that are cool enough to enjoy your hot cocoa and not get too hot, but when you step outside, you're not shivering all of a sudden either. And these are your afternoon highs, of course. It's going to be cooler in the mornings. We'll be more into the 20s to start off the day. So that's your Valentine's weekend. Now let's talk about next week. So here's something that we have made up for you to kind of talk about how how we forecast for systems far out. And Summer Schnallbach made this one for us. And this gives you an idea. And I went too far ahead on it, but we'll talk. You can still see the days, but I'm highlighting that 5 to 7 days out because that's where we are from the next system that we're looking at for next week. So when we're 5 to 7 days out, the general pattern showing up, we've got, we're recognizing the pattern and we're seeing that there's some changes going on and that we may get into a more active time. And so that's how it definitely is looking heading into next week, especially, starting maybe Tuesday night into midweek and beyond. So even Monday for President's Day, it's still looking pretty good. So we're, basically identifying that there's something happening 5 to 7 days out. And there are potential multiple outcomes going on as well. As we get a little closer, and again, these are a little more dimmed here, but you can still read it 3 to 5 days out. Once we start to see more model runs come through, we can see that trend and we get a little more confidence about, what we're going to see and getting into the details on timing, that kind of thing. And we're more able to talk about amounts heading into that 2 to 3 day out time frame with the precipitation type looking better because we are going to be watching out for both rain and snow. And then 1 to 2 days out, it's more of a deterministic forecast, meaning that we're giving you numbers. We're looking at, the possible amount of snow and temperatures and the wind speeds and that kind of thing. So that gives you an idea. So we keep things very general when we're this far out. When we are about a week out from the next system. So I'm not going to show you any forecast maps as far as seeing a precip map coming through as far as like timeline. Not going to show you amounts or anything like that this far out as well, but we just want to give you that heads up. We're first alerting you to the fact that the pattern is shifting in our longer range models, and next week we'll start up what looks to be an active period where we'll see several systems move through for a time. Couple, maybe 3 systems possible, depending on how things shape up. And so it's just now kind of showing up in our scope. So let's take a look at this comes from NOAA, and this is kind of that one of our risks that we get for heavy snow. And so we're looking at the February 18th through the 20th time frame. Upper Midwest, Northern Plains, any area highlighted in this purple color is at a slight risk for heavier snow, that 20 to 40% risk of snow. And so, it's still very generalized here. You can see a lot of places are under that risk, and this will get narrowed down as we go through time and as we get closer and we see where that likely snow path is going to line up during that first round. We're also watching out for some rain initially, maybe happening on Tuesday night into Wednesday, and wind associated with that as well. So this just indicates that there is that possibility. We're seeing it there, higher chance for impactful snowfall, and the track's still uncertain, timeline even still not certain here. But there is that signal showing up for us in our longer range models. So let's break down our 11-day planner. Next couple of mornings, I probably should have put Friday morning too, that chance for some patchy fog. Looking at temperatures on the rise, getting into the upper 30s by tomorrow for Fargo, and then Friday into the low 40s. And again, we've gone through our Valentine's weekend forecast, mostly sunny to partly cloudy skies. Monday, President's Day, maybe you're off on President's Day. We're looking at a similar range of temperatures. We're going to be fairly quiet. So, if you've got a 3-day weekend, that's going to just continue to roll on. And speaking of rolling on, Tuesday, Mardi Gras, let the good times roll. And we are looking at Tuesday being that day of change. Still a mild day, which is why I said that it may start as rain. It's because we're still going to have, the atmosphere is still going to be pretty warm. And so if we see that system roll in Tuesday night, we're going to see an increase in wind. We'll see a chance for some rain. And then changing over to snow is the scenario that we're seeing right now heading into Wednesday with some wind associated with it too. And that would be the first round. And then we may see more heading into the end of the week and next weekend. And that's where, our longer range models are, starting to come together on that first system, but not quite fully together just yet. The later on, after that time frame, Thursday and beyond, they're really diverging and not really in agreement here. And that gives us an idea, or it gives us pause in putting out a specific forecast for that time frame as well. It's less certain, but what we are seeing, the common denominator is that it's going to be an active period. So if you've got plans next week heading into the following weekend, just check back with us. We'll continue to keep you updated as the system goes along, or as the week goes along, and as these systems start showing up within that shorter time range, within a few days, within a day. We'll have more and more specific forecasts for you as we get closer. And if you're missing the snow, now's the opportunity, or next week's the opportunity to have that come back. And if you were hoping for a thaw, like we're seeing, a midwinter thaw that we're in, we're definitely getting that melt going on here for returning today and then continuing on heading into the weekend with multiple days in a row of temperatures reaching 40 in the afternoon. We do freeze again overnight. So that will, not suddenly have a bunch of water rushing into the system, but it is, we're seeing some of our snowpack melting with these kind of temperatures. So watching all of this for you here in the forecast. We'll have another update coming up this afternoon from our evening crew. Chief Meteorologist Russ Thomas will be in talking about how things are looking after the next suite of model runs come out here into this afternoon. And so if you want to follow along as we're enjoying the mild weather and keeping our eyes on next week, you can tune back in. And of course, throughout the day and night tonight, we'll have our newscast too that you can check in for as well. Overnight tonight, again, watching out for that fog. So if you've got to get up early tomorrow, check back with us on the Valley today on where we might be having some trouble with some fog and reduced visibility. And I'll be right back here again tomorrow morning with an update on how things are looking too. So have a great day. The fog is looking to improve again as we work our way in the forecast here for us into the next couple of hours. And enjoy the mild temperatures here while we have them, because as you see, we're about to see things change next week with more wintry weather returning. This has been your weather update brought to you by 1-800-WATER Damage of North Dakota. Have a great day.
There's no such thing as a small disaster. So when you call 1-800-WATER Damage of North Dakota, we come prepared to restore your life back to normal. From burst pipes to unexpected mold discoveries or fire damage, when things couldn't be worse, we come to you with our best. With empathy, local expertise, and a truck full of seriously powerful equipment. 1-800-WATER Damage of North Dakota. Restoring what matters most. 701-670-2022.